Yeovil's famous Hewish ground, home of the legendary sloping pitch where First Division Sunderland were sensationally beaten in the FA Cup back in 1949, is to be bulldozed into the history books. On that day, 16,500 people were crammed into that little ground in the middle of the town. Now the pitch where a giant-killing legend was born has been sold off for redevelopment. The sloping ground was bought from a local brewery 70 years ago. Yeovil turned down an offer from the American Army during the last war to bulldoze it level. So now the last match has been played on this famous Huish pitch, which has become a legend in the football world, not only for that giant-killing act over Sunderland, but for its famous slope. It drops an incredible 8 feet from one touchline to the other. The visiting clubs, especially the big ones who've come here in the FA Cup, they've come to dread the problems of the famous slope. But the local fans have loved it, and the atmosphere, which for them will always be Hewish. Now the legendary turf is to be sold off as souvenirs at £5 a square foot. It brings the club's 70-year reign at Hewish to an end. Next season, the team will exchange of this ground for a new and very level, custom-built stadium on the outskirts of Yeovil. So you had to persuade some of the directors. Now, what about the fans? They're not all happy about it, are they?
Initially, no. The reaction was the same as mine. A lot of people have said that we should never leave Hewish, the famous slope and tradition, and there's an awful lot of history attached to Hewish since the club has played here in 70 years. But I think as they've seen the new stadium grow, and they've seen the problems and the safety side in football and the way the police and the fire officer now adopt their attitude, then I think they've changed their minds.
It has provided a lot of good stories. We've noticed that with every round of the FA Cup that we've got through, the slope grows about a foot, and the national press love this slope when the cup gets going, although, to be honest, it's no bigger a slope than on many other grounds.
The Hewish ground and that sloping pitch have been sold to a development company for £2.8 million. Shortly after the final match, souvenir hunters will be able to buy their very own piece of Hewish turf. And the club's going to auction off whatever else they can sell. A hypermarket's going to spring up on the ground where Stock and Bryant scored those famous goals against Sunderland. The current players, with hopes of more success around the corner, move off to start a new chapter in the club's history. This is the new Hewish on the outskirts of town. The £3 million stadium will keep alive the famous name because it's to be called Huish Park. There's no slope, it's dead flat, and the directors and the fans will hope that the rest of Yeovil's traditions will be kept alive here at their new home, where they plan to start with their first match at the start of next season. So the famous name then will be kept alive. The big question still to be answered, will it be here that Yeovil Town achieve their greatest objective, that of a place in the Football League? Well, the club's chairman, Jerry Locke, certainly has his hopes high that the move to Huish Park will indeed bring league football. He's staked his reputation on the move, and in recognition of his efforts, the club are to name the main stand after Jerry Locke. It's the West Country's first custom-built football stadium for many years. There's a capacity of just under 10,000 with seating for half of them. It's been designed so that it can be converted into an all-seater stadium in the future.
But first, the highly charged and emotional scenes as thousands of fans crowded into Hewish for the last game ever on the famous sloping pitch. It was a family affair as usual. Young and old came along to be part of footballing history. The ground, though, is not going forever. People are buying the hallowed turf at £12 a square foot.
Has he paid?
Then the moment the crowd had waited for. A moment that brought a lump to many throats and motivated the players at the end of a long, hard season. Fittingly, it was the Green and Whites who started the game, a special 90 minutes of soccer action in cricketing temperatures. And it was Yeovil who turned on the heat from the first kick. The action was one way and Telford wilted. Yeovil's inevitable goal came 15 minutes into the second half. Neil Cordyce, the scorer. And that's how it ended, a 1-0 Yeovil victory. Telford didn't spoil the party.